ground. Have you been able to keep tabs on what's happening there? Can you bring us an update?
We just watched the speaker gavel out with a whole lot of anger, Kelly. Here's the state of play. Here's
MSNBC sucks.
Hey, how are you?
MSNBC sucks.
Talk to you for a second.
MSNBC sucks.
You can see.
Okay.
You can see the frustration.
Sometimes this happens, and we understand that that can happen. And while we love free speech, we're going to keep control here. So
I'm going to hold this up. Can you see this? Do you see this? I want Pritzker. Did CNN? Did y'all have him on to explain Illinois 13, this pinky-sized finger that goes across the entire state that was 100% drawn for partisan political purposes? But I haven't seen anybody at CNN or pretty much any of the other major networks bringing him on, or the Democrats and his legislator that drew a map with districts that are far more gerrymandered.
So after Texas Democratic state legislators attempted to flee the state yesterday in order to block the approval of the new Republican redistricting map, it may appear that they are in the F around and find out stage, because as we covered when we talked about this subject and brought you the preliminary news yesterday, what they are doing right now in terms of trying to deny quorum and as state legislators just basically refuse to do their job, refuse to come to work, is indeed illegal. And you now have the threats yesterday being followed up on, as apparently arrest warrants have been issued in the case of this stupid political stunt. And apparently there may be even more than that. We'll bring you those updates. But we also got to tell you about some of the pathetic Democrat grandstanding surrounding all of this, because you have on one hand these people are claiming that, oh, we're about to go broke. You know, state legislators don't get paid a lot of money and they're fining us $500 a day for breaking the law. To which I say, first of all, okay, you could just show up to work. Are we supposed to have sympathy on these people? These are elected officials who are literally refusing to do their job, and despite their posturing about the democratic process, are denying the democratic process, and we're supposed to feel like they're the victims because they refuse to show up to work. Hey guys, do you know what happens, by the way, when a normal American who works in the private sector doesn't go to work? They get fired. Okay, and maybe that ought to be the case here. You probably should be disbarred from holding office. That's on one hand. Secondly, Democrat hypocrisy, and probably worse than hypocrisy when it comes to gerrymandering, is being called out as we now have Republican state legislators here finally showing CNN what they refused to talk about for so long, which is despite all of this moral virtue signaling about Republicans rigging the 2026 elections and gerrymandering. As a matter of fact, the very state they're fleeing to right now is indeed Illinois, which you'll rapidly find out Democrats gerrymander pretty extensively, as well as a lot more updates on this entire situation. So we'll get into all of the latest news in the Texas redistricting fight here today. We also have Gavin Newsom being Gavin Newsom and Hakeem Jeffries being Hakeem Jeffries. So let's talk about all the shenanigans, the political theater from the Democrats, and what we can do about it in today's video. First though, folks, as usual, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Subscribing, guys, is not only the best way to support our videos, but it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. While you're at it, I fully encourage you, if you have not, go watch all of our recent videos on the Texas redistricting battle. I may be even making a playlist on it because it's kind of important to understand, if you're not up to date, kind of where we are on all of this. But to very briefly start today by recapping what we covered in yesterday's video, essentially what the Texas state Democrats did yesterday was leave the state for Illinois in order to deny quorum. This comes after just last week, the new congressional map that's going to gift 5 new Republican seats in the 2026 midterms was approved in the House committee, and now it's supposed to meet the floor-wide vote, right? Long story short, the Texas state legislature in Austin this week was supposed to indeed vote to approve this, and Democrats obviously are in the minority, so there's nothing they could do about it except to deny quorum. And so essentially what they did is flee the state, so that way, by the rules, they don't have enough people to hold the vote and basically hold this up, grandstand, and manage to deny all of this. And ironically, right, despite the fact that they're literally playing political games here, oh, let's literally run away like fugitives in order to stop the democratic process here, you have Texas Democrats like this claiming, we're not here to play political games, as they quite literally play political games in another state, not doing their job.
We're not here to play political games. We're here to demand an end to this corrupt process.
Yeah, absolutely.
We ask them to stop hiding things from the public. We asked them to stop doing things behind closed doors. We asked them to stop attacking Texas communities. They refused because their loyalty and fealty to Donald Trump overrides all other interests.
Yeah, so there you have it. Now, it's worth noting that this effort did not come alone. In fact, the very reason why they fled to the state of Illinois in particular is because Illinois Democrat Governor JB Pritzker's family is the owners of, I believe, the Hyatt hotels, if I'm not mistaken. And so they essentially gave out a bunch of free money and rooms and housing for these state legislators to manage to do what they're doing, which really kind of begs the question. I mean, is that really legal? You're essentially bribing a bunch of Democrat lawmakers in another state to deny the democratic process in that state. But as you can see, apparently the news has now come out that despite all of their, look at them taking the pictures, acting like they're so noble for this, that the Texas Democrats fled the state apparently on a $47 million Embraer ERJ-170 jet, a jet that costs about $17,000 per hour to operate. That means the flight to Chicago costs nearly $100,000. You wonder who paid for this? Well, I mean, it's kind of, well, I guess we got to find out exactly for sure. But after JB Pritzker admitted he was providing logistical support, I think the answer there seems obvious. Maybe Democrat donors had something to do with it. But needless to say, I'm not exactly sure they were flying commercial to go in this operation, which means what? There are conspirators, of course, in this very effort. Now, simultaneously, the most hilarious part about it all is that while they're claiming here, as you can see here, this guy right here, Representative James Tallarico, came on the Brian Tyler Cohen show today to basically cry about how they're losing money, right? You can see the transcript right here. He says, as a state rep, I get paid only about $600 a month. That's nothing to live on. We're not able to pay the bills. We're leaving our, day jobs behind. We're not having income. All of this garbage. Well, of course, number one, no one told you had to do this. You act like you're being held hostage and flown to Illinois. No, you're choosing to actually, as we'll bring up again, break state law to deny this quorum. And by the way, by all accounts, you're doing this with the financial support of JB Pritzker's family and likely many other people here. But nonetheless, despite everything you heard, right, they're flying on private jets. The Pritzker family is giving them the hotels and all that. Take a listen here as one of these Texas state legislators really tries to cry about it and act like he's some kind of victim. We're supposed to feel bad for this guy? Seriously?
You know, as a state representative, I get paid about $600 a month before taxes. And so that's not much to live off of. And so many of my colleagues, including myself, we have day jobs that help us pay the bills. And by breaking quorum, we are leaving those day jobs behind. We are sacrificing the income that we need to make ends meet. I also have colleagues who are leaving behind young children. I have some colleagues who are leaving behind aging parents. So this decision was not made lightly. It's a cost to all of us, a financial, a professional, a political, a personal cost to do something like this. But we all feel so strongly that this power grab is so brazen, so egregious, so dangerous for the future of our republic that we had no other choice but to make this stand. And I hope what it does is I hope it inspires not just all Texans, but all Americans to step up and do something to stop this power grab from happening. Whether you're in a red state or a blue state, there is always something that we can do to stand up to the president and ensure that we have free and fair elections in 2026.
Yes, ordinary Americans, I encourage you all to get the support of millionaire and billionaire families in order to just go leave your job and refuse to do any work in order to stop Donald Trump. What an inspiration he is. But again, nonetheless, okay, my question here stands. Are we supposed to feel bad for this guy? Oh, I'm not making any money. It's $600 a month, and then they're fining us every day. I'm so poor, all this stuff. Hey, buddy, I have a very simple solution to this. You know, it's called you could stop playing political games and go to work and do your job. It's not actually that complicated. Hey, Mom, I don't have any money. Okay, have you tried working? Have you tried doing your job? So that's on one hand, of course. Secondly, though, the great irony that we will repeatedly point out here is the fact that they are indeed not just going to any Democrat state to protest Republican gerrymandering. They're, of course, going to Illinois, which is universally considered to be one of the most gerrymandered states in America. Of course, the very issue is that, this narrative is never really brought up, right? all the media, all these people are like, oh, Republican gerrymandering, it's so bad. Never want to acknowledge the fact that this is actually a counter to some pretty egregious Democrat gerrymandering you saw after the 2020 census. That is, of course, and we've been bringing this up repeatedly, but that is, of course, until Texas State Republican Brian Harrison went on CNN and showed them the map, okay? Finally forcing someone in the media to see it. Hey, take a look at this. By the way, you guys are going to Illinois really to protest gerrymandering, and Republicans are supposed to feel so bad about this. Take a listen. This is pretty satisfying to watch, and this is what I've been calling for, for weeks now. Hey, finally, you have to have mainstream Republicans show the evidence to people's faces and don't let the media hide it. And it finally happened, so take a listen.
Has said so on multiple occasions. We should have, quite frankly, we should have done this during the regular session and had this in the rearview mirror by now.
So then is your objection against Pritzker or Newsom doing the same thing purely that it doesn't advantage your party? That's not consistent.
No, I've never said something like that. You're putting words in my mouth. My objection
you're pointing the finger at them.
Isn't that he's not allowed to do it. My objection is the rank hypocrisy and dishonesty of what he's saying. I'm going to hold this up. Can you see this? Do you see this? I want Pritzker did y'all have him on to explain Illinois 13, this pinky-sized finger that goes across the entire state that was 100% drawn for partisan political purposes, but I haven't seen anybody at CNN or pretty much any of the other major networks bringing him on, or the Democrats and his legislator that drew a map with districts that are far more gerrymandered than anything that the House, that the Texas maps that we're contemplating look like here today. So it's rank hypocrisy. That's my problem. And the dishonesty and the faux outrage. They're not mad that states are redistricting for partisan purposes. They're mad that a Republican state is doing it.
Boom, boom. There you see on display, firstly, the argument we've been making forever, which is, no, we're not here to virtue signal about, oh, gerrymandering is so bad and evil. We're simply saying that if the opposition is going to draw congressional maps in their own political favor, which is, hey, it's politics, right? This is about power and control. I'm a mature adult. I'm not here to be naive about anything. Then why wouldn't the right wing simply do the same? And you see this childish argument that the CNN host tries to make. He's parroting the exact line of the Democrats, which is to say, oh, so you're saying gerrymandering is only bad when the other side does it. No, actually, that's what you're saying because you're refusing to acknowledge Democrat gerrymandering. My take on this from the beginning has been this. Look, in an ideal world, gerrymandering doesn't happen on either side. But we don't live in an ideal world, okay? So a mature adult recognizes politics is about power and control ultimately. At the end of the day, both sides do it, even with laws against gerrymandering, which do exist, even with so-called independent redistricting commissions, which in the end are never really that independent, this kind of stuff still happens. It is what it is, right? My only problem I have is that when Democrats egregiously gerrymandering, as you saw in this picture right here, then turn to us and try to virtue signal about how we're rigging the midterms, you guys are so evil, you're so bad, these Republicans, all they can do is cheat, while they draw congressional maps that are still worse than what they're doing right now in Texas. That's the only issue, right? And finally, look at this shot. It's just truly incredible. And well, here's hoping we do succeed in the effort to counter all of that. Now, all of this said, you may be asking amid the current political stunts, is what the current Texas Democrats are doing legal? Is it okay? Is it allowed under the law to literally flee your state to try to deny a quorum? And by the way, that seems like a pretty egregious loose end in the political process, because imagine that. Right? Imagine you could just be a legislator, and if your party's not in power, then you could just flee DC, you could flee the Capitol, you could just never show up, and in the end, you can't pass anything, and how is that democratic? That seems like a huge problem, right? Well, of course, newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, as we brought up yesterday, it is illegal what the Democrats are currently doing under Texas state law. They can face a fine of $500 a day, as well as a civil arrest. And ladies and gentlemen, as of today, the motion has officially passed in the Texas State House. The deadline has been extended, but now ultimately has expired, which they basically told the House Democrats of Texas, if you are not back in Austin by 4 p.m. today, you will indeed receive these arrest warrants. And after the motion passes in the Texas State House, apparently as of now, the Texas House has issued indeed these arrest warrants for the Democrats who fled the state to break quorum ahead of those redistricting votes. Hopefully this is a case of they effed around and they found out. Take a listen.
Nays, the motion prevails. The sergeant at arms and any officers appointed by her are directed to send for all absentees whose attendance is not excused for the purposes of securing and maintaining their attendance under warrant of arrest if necessary until further order of the House. Members, under the rules, while the House is under a call, any member who wishes to leave the hall must have written permission of the Speaker. The Chair is providing written permission to be entered in the journal for each member registered as present on today's roll call to leave the chamber and return tomorrow at 1 p.m. Please return at the appointed time. Mr. Guerin moves that the House stand adjourned until 1 p.m. Tuesday. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and the House stands adjourned.
Well, go get him. Start a nationwide manhunt if you have to. Get ICE involved. I don't know. But here's the thing, obviously. And here's a question I think we're all asking right now. And this is going to be a serious test of the Texas Republicans, who, by the way, should have expected this was going to happen. I'm not surprised at all what Democrats are doing. I think people were even warning weeks ago that they might try to do something like this. Are you going to follow through? Are you going to enforce it? Are you going to figure out a way to get around this? Whether it's you go round them up, you bring them back into the state house, you have to issue warrants for arrest, you have to arrest them. Whether it's that you have to change the rules of the Texas House so that way they just aren't even counted and you can go ahead with the vote, because after all, you still have the majority, you'd still have the required number of votes anyway. I don't know. But again, that is the big question now. You have to follow through. You cannot allow, after everything we did to get a more fair 2026 election, you cannot just simply let one stupid stunt by the Democrats just stonewall the entire thing and cancel the entire thing. And by the way, imagine the precedent this would set for the democratic process, that, hey, you can just flee the state to deny quorum and then nothing will get passed. And by the way, if that's allowed to pass, I'm not exactly sure that the Democrats, when they have power, would very much like to see none of their stuff get passed because Republicans just deny the quorum. But overall, it's probably just not a good thing for the democratic process in general. It needs to be enforced that this is indeed already illegal. That's number one. Now, number two, Governor Greg Abbott and the Attorney General Ken Paxton have apparently ordered the Texas Rangers to launch investigations into these absent Democrats for felony bribery. And why is that the case? Well, as we brought up previously, this is not just something they magically did on their own. This is a case where someone, likely the JB Pritzker family and others, were putting up millions of dollars to ensure that the Texas Democrats could flee their state house and deny the political proceedings of the state of Texas. So now what they are doing is extending this investigation to those who aided and abetted their escape. You can see the statement right here. Governor Greg Abbott today ordered Texas Rangers to investigate delinquent Texas House Democrats on potential violations of Texas state law, including bribery. This goes on to say they're investigating for potential bribery and any other potential legal violations connected to their refusal to appear for a quorum, conduct business, and cast votes, said Governor Abbott. The investigation should extend to anyone who abated and aided such potential crimes. Reports indicate that many absentee Texas House Democrats have solicited or received funds, yes, indeed, JB Pritzker, buddy, to evade conducting legislative business and casting votes. Under the Texas Penal Code, any of those Democrats who solicit, accept, or agree to accept such funds and assist the violation of legislative duties or purposes of skipping a vote may have violated bribery laws. Also, it could be a bribery violation for any person who offers, provides, or agrees to provide such funding to fleeing Democrat members. The Texas Rangers are instructed to quickly complete the investigation. Now, again, I'm going to say so often as we do with this type of stuff from conservatives, Republican lawmakers, you have to follow through on this. Okay, we want to see this. We don't want to just see let's kind of make a statement to scare people and never actually follow up. No, the Democrats have effed around. It is time now that after you did this, okay, you say you're going to arrest them, you need to arrest them. You say you're going to charge them with bribery, you need to investigate and do the charges, right? No empty talk, so that's what we're going to have to wait and see. Because if not, guess what? The Democrats are going to stay in Illinois, right? And as a matter of fact, you even have this guy right here, Texas State House Democrat Gene Wu, was asked today what he thinks of Governor Abbott's threat to remove sitting members of the House or potentially arrest or return, and he says, come and take it. Right? They're being defiant. They're basically here trying to call the GOP bluff. That's why I say it's so important that the GOP shows they're not bluffing, because if not, these House Democrats are going to continue with their stunt. They're going to continue here fleeing into hiding, as you've seen them do, by the way, thus far.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he will try to take your seats away if you don't go back. Let me read you what he said. He said, this truancy ends now. The derelict Democratic House members must return to Texas and be in attendance when the House reconvenes at 3 p.m. today. For any member who fails to do so, I will invoke Texas Attorney General opinion number KP 0382 to remove the missing Democrats from membership in the Texas House. What do you say to that threat?
Well, first of all, I want to say, you know what? Today is a great day to end the corruption of Greg Abbott. This has gone on far too long. The public has been enraged about this, how politicians continue to tell the public pretty words, but never actually do what they say they would do. This is Governor Abbott being upset about that because he's been caught doing exactly that. And to Governor Abbott, frankly, he doesn't know how to read Attorney General's opinions because he used to be Attorney General. And frankly, Democrats say, come and take it.
Come and take it. Do you think he could be successful taking your seats away?
No. It's all bluster, sound and fury signifying nothing.
So he's accusing Greg Abbott of some type of vague corruption while he, I'm going to guess without entirely his own money, is allegedly perhaps taking money here and resources to do what he's doing right now. Just saying, Gene Wu? You going to answer that question? Are you paying with all of this with your own money? Not sure that's the case. Just a thought, okay? But nonetheless, again, there you have it. So Democrats are saying, oh, well, we're not scared. Come and take it. Okay. So now to Republicans, it's your turn. You have to go take it. It's that simple, right? Don't let them play the political games. We're done with it, okay? So there you have it. We'll keep you updated on this. We'll see what happens in terms of do the arrest warrants come, or is there some type of threat made where they just come back? Do you manage to get them back? Do you change rules? Do you kick them out? There's many options here, but all of them, Republicans, you got to pick one, and you got to follow through with it, and you got to make sure this is allowed to succeed. So guys, there you have it. Now, lastly, I would like to highlight some of just the ridiculous meltdowns you continue to see out of Democrat leaders. For instance, take a listen here to Gavin Newsom once again saying, California will not stand for what's happening. More empty threats. Here you go.
These folks don't play by the rules. If they can't win playing the game with the existing set of rules, they'll change the rules. That's what Donald Trump has done. He's dialing for seats. Familiar because he dialed for votes in the last election. Here's someone who tried to break this country, tried to light democracy on fire on January 6th. He recognizes he's going to lose in the midterms, and we have the opportunity to de facto end the Trump presidency in less than 18 months. That's what's at stake.
Well, firstly, I don't know what he's even talking about. But secondly, these folks don't play by the rules, Gavin. Are you referring to the Texas state Democrats? Is that who? Because I'm pretty sure they're the ones right now not playing by the rules. No, as a matter of fact, what Texas is currently doing is fully within the rules. It is fully within law. It is fully constitutional. And, if it wasn't, it would have to stand up to legal scrutiny. But guess what? They are indeed playing by the rules. They're playing by the same rules you are setting, which some degree of gerrymandering is legal, you can get away with, hence explaining, by the way, the congressional map in California. What are these people talking about? Again, the sheer gaslighting. That's why I say we need more lawmakers like this right here that'll just show the map to everyone's faces so they can see exactly, yeah, look at these. These folks don't play by the rules. Look at the rules they're not following. Look at this. I thought elections are supposed to be fair and free and representative. Huh. Okay, so there you have on one hand. Secondly, we have Hakeem Jeffries likewise, I should say, also operating in a complete reverse 180 fantasy land. So Gavin Newsom is saying Republicans don't play by the rules while the Democrats in Texas are breaking the rules. Secondly, you have Texas, he's saying here, Hakeem Jeffries is saying here that Texas Republicans are, quote, running scared. You can't even make that up. His terminology is they are running scared, while, of course, as we speak, Texas Democrats literally ran away. They literally ran out of the state running scared, and then Hakeem Jeffries is trying to make this argument. It's so ridiculous.
We've seen Texas Democrats try to use these quorum breaks before, only for them to fail, like back in 2003 and then in 2021. How will this time be any different?
Well, in the 2021 quorum break, actually, I would argue that Texas Democrats were successful in forcing Republicans to walk away from some of the more extreme parts of the voter suppression law that were being contemplated at the time. They still moved forward with their efforts to try to suppress the possibility of a free and fair election in Texas. This is what they do. But the Texas Democrats were successful in reducing the extreme nature of what was being proposed. But this moment does require an extraordinary response, because this is an extraordinary act that Republicans have been ordered to undertake to try to gerrymander the Texas congressional map as part of an effort to rig the midterm elections. Wolf, that's what this is all about, because Donald Trump, House Republicans, and the Texas Republican Party, they're all running scared because they have failed the American people.
Well, that's total projection, but you really have to wonder why not a single one of these CNN hosts will ask very basic and obvious questions like, hey, why are you guys crying about gerrymandering when Democrat states are the most gerrymandered? Or secondly, how can you refer to this as saving democracy when you're denying the democratic process? Like, it doesn't actually seem very democratic, does it? So Republicans in a state win the popular majority of voters. The majority of Republicans, Texas obviously is Republican, right? The minority in that state, instead of winning the hearts and minds, instead of managing to strike it down by voting, instead just flees the state, which makes a rules issue where the Republicans can't even vote because the Texas Democrats have fled the state. What about that is democratic? It's a total abuse of power. It's a total abuse of the process. I would again argue it should be illegal. But I would also like to ask the question to Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, so say 2027 comes, you guys won the House, and you're doing exactly what you will do if you win the House, which is impeach Trump. Can the Republicans in that case just flee? Just all leave DC, go back to their districts, and guess what? You don't have the quorum to do the impeachment vote, right? Like, again, I think the ideal outcome is we make a grand statement that this is not legal and it will be prosecuted, whatever. But in the event that they don't, I would say to national Republicans, the counter to this, okay, start doing it to Democrats then. Hey, California Republicans, start doing that. Just everything they want to pass. Just walk out, deny a quorum. Oh, that's not democratic. The people voted for Democrats in this state. Who cares? Apparently, democracy doesn't actually matter to these absolute disingenuous scumbags. You know what? Use that. They want to play dirty, we play dirty. Every place where Democrats hold power, all Republicans should just deny quorum all the time. Because apparently that's how it works, right? So, I don't know, just some thoughts there. But anyways, with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this ridiculous drama in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.